How's it going, Goomy Gang? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Battlefield 6. That's right, we're going back to Battlefield 6. Still got plenty to talk about there. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the 18.5KS-K. Not a great name. I'm going to call it the Saiga 12 because that's what it looks like. We're going to be talking about the spammy semi-auto shotgun of the game. Basically the Saiga 12. I'm going to share with you guys my overall thoughts on it. I'll talk about some attachments that I think are good to use, how you should probably be using it, and just sort of my overall sentiment about the gun. It's been a roller coaster with this shotgun, but I really wanted to talk about it, and it has definitely grown on me. So as always, check out the timestamps below if you want to hop to a certain part of the video, and let's get started. So let's get some basic information out of the way for this gun. The Saiga 12 shoots at around 300 RPM, which is pretty fast for a shotgun, but pretty slow by other means compared to SMGs and ARs and stuff. But for a shotgun, it's pretty good. You shoot 16 pellets with this and deal about 80 damage per shot in its max range, which I'll get to the ranges soon. And your magazine capacity is about 8. The magazine capacity, as a big note, you can only hold 8 in total, or I guess 9 because there's that extra shell in the tube. So basically 9 is as much as you're going to get. There is no crazy magazine attachment that gives you 20 rounds or anything. This isn't Call of Duty. We don't have our 60 round haymaker here. Nope, you either get an 8 or a 4. And the 4 is kind of funny, helps your mobility, but 8 is probably what you're going to want to stick with, especially that 8 round fast mag. So talking about the ranges here, I'll give you a brief overview. So essentially your 2-shot range for this is extending out to about the 15-meter mark. So this is basically trading off your M87A1, your shotgun range, your 1-shot range for that. It's basically the 2-shot range for this gun. Outside of that, out to around the 20-meter range, there's that little group from 15 to 20 where it does about enough damage to get a 3-shot kill consistently. And then outside of that 20-meter range, it's basically anywhere from 4 to 6 to 7 to 8. It just kind of depends, but just know that that range isn't really where you want to be challenging more than one person. You can kind of get away with challenging one person if you're aiming down sights and they're maybe not super aware of your presence. You can kind of get away with challenging them, but generally with this gun, you want to stick to around that, as you might expect, that 15 to 20 meter mark. That's generally where this gun shines, and any further than that, it's just kind of like a, hey, I might as well try it and see if I can get a kill. In terms of its mobility, it feels pretty snappy. It doesn't feel really sluggish or anything. It feels pretty standard. You don't really have a super slow sprint to fire speed or anything like that. It's totally fine. I don't really think you need to rock anything to help your aim down sight speed or anything like that. Even with slugs, I just find it's not really necessary. Now let's talk about some attachments I think are worth running. First of all, with the laser category, the lasers are probably the most useful out of all these attachments, I would say. The red laser is totally fine to use. The first one you unlock helped me through leveling this gun up by quite a bit. It does help, fairly noticeably in my opinion, but the other lasers are definitely worth considering if you plan on hip firing this as much as possible, like if you're a mouse and keyboard player. Since I play controller, I do hip fire, but only in those really close situations, like maybe 5 meters away. Otherwise the spread can kind of get you killed. Now as far as the downsides go for them, I highly recommend checking out Exclusive Ace's video on lasers and the flashlight, which he breaks down all the downsides to them. And basically the blue and the green 50 milliwatt and 120 watt lasers are only visible out to 5 meters by enemy players. Now after that, the laser beam isn't super visible at all. It just kind of disappears, which is good for balancing. So since you can turn them off by yourself whenever you want, it's super helpful to have a laser equipped, no matter how bright it is, knowing that if someone's around, you can turn it off real quick, and then before you engage, maybe turn it back on if you need it, or just keep it off for that particular engagement. But why they're so good for a few reasons, of course. One is they help reduce your overall hip fire spread on all the guns that have them. Just like I mentioned with the M87A1 video, shotgun spread in this game works by basically having a grouping of 16 pellets that can land anywhere within that hip fire reticle as one unit. So it's not all over the place in that circle, but your 16 pellets could go here in the top left, in the top right of the circle, wherever in that circle, but those 16 pellets are generally grouped together, and there's, as far as I know, no real way to tighten those up, even as you aim down sights. Now, aim down sights does tighten where those pellets will go, that grouping, and basically makes it to where wherever you're aiming, those 16 pellets are generally going to go, but they're still kind of in a little bit of a random spread pattern. So aiming down sights is always super useful, especially with shotguns at further distances, like past 10 meters, at 20 meters. Aiming down sights is incredibly useful, and I highly encourage it, especially with this gun. It definitely helps. So having a laser to tighten that hip fire reticle is super nice because it really does make your shots a lot more consistent. It makes it to where that random grouping of 16 pellets is fairly consistent, and up close it does make a difference. So lasers, super important, and I highly recommend them. Whatever laser you prefer, red laser is totally fine. If you're okay with the downside of being slightly visible, definitely go with one of the green or blues. Not a make or break type of thing here, just whichever you prefer. I figured this is a good time to mention as well, the flashlight does help with your hip fire. Now it doesn't just like narrow your hip fire reticle. If you see if you turn it on and off, it doesn't change that, but rather it helps your max firing spread. So whenever you shoot this gun and you keep spamming it and spamming it and spamming it, just shoot at a wall in the firing range, you'll notice that hipfire reticle gets wider and wider and wider the more you shoot. Well, the flashlight helps reduce how wide that can get, so this is really good for sustained fire. It's not just a cheesy troll attachment, it does have some utility, and it does stack with the lasers, so if you want to keep it super consistent when you're spamming, the flashlight is not a bad option. Of course, it does make you visible to some distance. I personally don't run it, but if you really want a really tight hipfire spread, definitely consider it. It is probably worth it to you. It's up to you if you think that downside of having the flashlight and blinding people and all that is worth it. Another great attachment to use is the suppressor. Any of the suppressors will do. The first one you unlock is totally great, and I think you unlock it around like level 18 or so. It's a little bit of a grind for it, not too bad, but the suppressor is really nice. Of course, it keeps you off the radar generally, and it keeps you a little bit quieter. It's still a loud shotgun, but it does make you a little bit quieter, and for getting up and close and personal with this gun in particular, which you really want to do a lot more than the other shotguns, of course. So far, I would say a suppressor is pretty damn good to run, and also one of the lasers is also very good. Flashlight, take it or leave it, but if you want to hit fire, generally a good one to have as well, just not mandatory. Overall, those are the main attachments I would worry about. The underbarrel grips are nice if you're trying to make it look to where you're a little bit snappier. Recoil is not an issue with this. This gun doesn't really have much recoil even when you fire a bunch, which is pretty cool, pretty smooth gun. But if you want to snap your aim down sight speed, you could always rock one that helps with that if you want to, but I find it's just not worth it. Just find other places to put your points into. Also, with the magazine attachment, 8 rounds you definitely want to go for, and when you unlock it, just rock the 8-round fast mag. It definitely helps to go with that. 4 rounds is funny, but it's more of a niche, like kind of just shooting the shit type of thing where you're not trying to go all out, you're just kind of having fun. It is fun to rock, but it is limiting yourself in quite a big way, so just go with the 8-round fast mag. Now let's talk about slugs, because I know you guys are probably curious about that. Here is the damage profile for slugs, and actually they're very useful. They're very good. This is a close range marksman rifle for sure, and it's got some damage. You can one-shot headshot up close out to around the 9-meter mark. Outside of that, it's a pretty consistent 2-tap out to about your 15-meter mark, but of course you can do the same thing with just the base ammo. Is it worth running over the base ammo? I mean, it just depends on your needs. If you want to rock it like super long range, then go for it. It's possible to do. But since I tend to use this as like a shotgun through and through, I tend to avoid slugs, but they're super nice. They're fun. Definitely worth a change of pace if you want to try it. So I definitely recommend them if you're looking for something to kind of switch it up. As far as Flechette, they're not super useful for how many points they have. They basically make it to where your penetration's a little bit better, and they do delay enemy healing for a little bit. But again, I'd rather put my points elsewhere, and it's not really helping with your damage output any, really, from what I can tell. So I would just avoid Flechette. It's not super worth it. Even if it, like a placebo may feel better to you, it's not really anything worth it in my opinion, especially for how many points it costs. So if you want to know like a good setup to run, really just go for like the first red laser you can find, or one of the lasers of your choice. Rock the suppressor, rock that 8-round fast mag, or just the 8-round, since you probably are, if you're leveling up, don't have that unlocked, and just rock buckshot and the standard sight. The rest is up to you. It really doesn't matter. Those are the attachments, in my opinion, that do make this gun a lot better. The other ones are just kind of icing on the cake, so choose what you want. Overall, when using this gun, my thoughts on it were pretty low. I was convinced this was probably one of the worst guns in the game, but it slowly got better and better as I unlocked these attachments. The base gun, leveling it up was a chore, and also getting used to how to play with it was also kind of difficult, because I'm a little bit of an aggressive player, and while I was flanking a lot with this, I just wasn't able to get the kills, and it turns out the hipfire was just a little too wide for my taste, so having a laser definitely helped with that. Definitely one of the better attachments, especially when you're leveling this thing up. But trust me, even though it feels kind of crappy now, you got to adapt a little bit to its playstyle. Make sure you're staying as close as possible. Of course, it's a shotgun, and don't be afraid to aim down sights at those further distances. You might be surprised how many people you can kill at longer ranges with maybe 3 or 4 shots. It's really overlooked in my opinion. I don't think I've died to the shotgun a single time, and I know it's overshadowed by the other two, but this is a fun shotgun to run. It's grown on me quite a bit. I hated this thing when I started using it, but definitely grown on me. I really like it a lot, and it's super fun. So I highly encourage you guys to try it out. Don't be discouraged if it feels really weird at first. It does get better. Just got to stick it through. I promise it'll get better. And that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. There's my general overview for the Saiga 12, whatever you want to call it. So now, as always, let me know down below in the comments, what do you guys think about this shotgun? Do you think I'm talking it up too much? Do you think it's way worse than the other 2 shotguns? And what's your favorite shotgun in Battlefield 6 so far? Let me know down below in the comments. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.